Coach Pat Noonan following today's 1-1 draw with the Columbus Group. Pat, if you just want to start with your thoughts on tonight's match.
What I'll say is I'm proud of the way the guys represented, the club on a night where we were second best. They suffered a lot, certainly more so in the second half, despite long stretches in the first half as well. But they showed good character on a night where, we really, really struggled to make the right decisions in transition, make the right decisions, or have the right composure to just try to play. And they punished us. And that's a hard-fought point, but I think we're fortunate to walk off the field with a point.
Possession stats don't always tell the story. Like the first half, they still had the advantage, but you guys were on the attack, had some good chances. What was the difference in the second half when they were really in your defensive third a lot?
Yeah, I mean, the way they move to goal, excuse me, the movement off the ball, it's very challenging to deal with those types of runs when you're losing possession in moments where, there's time and we can connect passes. Those are the tough stretches, and when you have to really defend the box. But then there was also moments where they get, their counter press right, and because of where their numbers are and because of how deep you have to defend, you have to be able to play under pressure to get out of those moments to then attack with space and make decisions in those moments as to how do you go to goal or how do you step on the ball and try to slow the tempo down a little bit. But, the second half we just couldn't string together the right passes and find the right comfort level on the ball across the board.
Was Obi was he on a minutes limit, or
he was
okay?
He's okay. It was 45 to 60 range, and based on the first half and the work he put in, and how long he's been out, we decided that was a good moment to make a switch.
And I know one more. I know you don't like to. I know you feel comfortable with whoever comes in for you at this point, especially. But did you think that the game kind of changed compared to when he was in? Did that have any impact on? How much of an impact do you think Obi had on the game, I guess, in the first half?
I thought the game obviously wasn't as good in the second half, but I don't think it had to do necessarily with Obi being off the field. He did a really good job in the first 45 minutes. I think when Brian came in, he also did a good job. I think it was more with the ball, like I said, across the board. So I don't think his coming off the field was why the second half looked the way it did, but it was that was more the collective on the ball.
Denke scored in his second straight match off a great bicycle kick assist from Evander. How good is it seeing the both of them work together now?
Yeah, look, they're scoring goals, but we want to see longer stretches and more moments over the course of 90 minutes of them connecting. I think they show when they're closer to goal that the creativity and the understanding of how to find space and how to get a shot off and create an opportunity is strong. But there's also so many moments within the game where I think we are not making the right decisions with our attacking pieces. I think in the first half, a lot of space to attack at times, but we're rushing plays into the box. And when you're disconnected and you can't get your team up the field, now you're struggling. Now you have to drop. Now you have to defend against a team that's so dominant with the ball. So that's some Kevin, that's some Evander, it's Sergio. It's, all of our guys just understanding how to play in a more simple way. And when we simplify things, the game becomes easier. And how you can attack goal and how you can defend against the ball, everything becomes more clear, and that's where we're struggling.
How much is it, since Kevin came in 3 months ago, just with the three of them working together, try to, with all their styles and everything, trying to simplify it and get them on the same page?
Yeah, that's my job. And our job as a staff, we can do better. And how we message it to those guys and how we continue to build relationships on the field is what we're going to continue to focus on. They're doing a lot of good things despite, I think at times a lack of chemistry. and it's not a lack of desire to get better. I think they're always talking, they're always communicating, they're trying to figure things out, but also how am I positioning them to be better connected and to understand how to play together, but not just the two of them, with this team. So we can have more control of games and better ideas attacking the goal. So, here we are talking about this, and we're in a pretty good place. That's why I think, we can be a very dangerous team, is we're not at our best.
And then just last thing for me, league puts such a premium on these rivalry week games, but just how hard is it in a short week?
Yeah.
You play both teams play on Wednesday, and
Yeah.
then you got a rivalry game on Saturday.
Thanks for teeing me up. It makes no sense. And that's the result tonight, and how we performed has nothing to we could have been so much better. But if you're going to, look at the schedule and say, these are the most important games on the calendar, what are we doing that on the back end of a 3-game week with all these rivalry matches? It's not just FC Cincinnati versus, Columbus. Guys gave everything, but you'd like to have it on a full week where maybe it's even more intense. But also the buildup, how we talk about it over the course of a week. This was such a quick turnaround that it was we couldn't talk about Columbus until Thursday. Nobody was talking about this game until we finished our Toronto game. And so, I think it took away a little bit of the steam and the excitement and the buildup of it for, everybody that was playing in a rivalry match tonight. But that's something that I think should be pretty straightforward as far as all the big matches, whatever we think are key matches over the course of the year. Let's make sure everybody's fresh and there's the right build-up to these matches. So that's my take on it. And again, they were better than us. So it didn't affect them, clearly, and maybe it affected us, but that's my thoughts.
Pat, you mentioned off the top with some of the struggles that you guys had today and decision-making and composure. Where would you put the balance of that being things that Columbus did to make things challenging for you versus like self-inflicted or self-inflicted errors?
Composure on the ball. I mean, we had good pressure moments, and they were able to play through it at times. And they had good pressure moments, and we didn't play, in a composed way on a consistent basis. So I don't even know what the possession number was. I'm sure it was heavily in their favor. But if you can take maybe, a handful of moments to just say, okay, these are no pressure to the ball, connect simple passes, let's get into an attacking structure and look to break them down. Those are long stretches. And you take a very good team on the ball, off the ball. And so that's where we just didn't get it right. And so then you saw what a game looks like against a very good Columbus team when you can't connect passes and you don't have that confidence. And then it's just, here we go again. You could feel that, especially in the second half. And like I said, I credit the guys for how they continued to fight and struggle. But the game can look different if we can get some of those things with the ball better.
Two-thirds possession for Columbus.
Okay, it was a lot to a little.
You had highlighted going into this match with us on Friday in your pre-match Apple interview that something that makes Columbus really dangerous is their ability to change on the fly.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there was a moment in this game where they changed and you guys weren't quick enough to adjust?
There was a lot of those moments.
Okay.
There was a lot of moments where they're interchanging and we don't, know the defensive responsibilities because of how we've turned the ball over. Sometimes it's more clear when you have a set defensive structure and you had ideas that you prepared where, okay, how can we get pressure to the ball and understand maybe how some of their movements might form as we arrive to the ball. But we didn't have enough of that because of how we allowed them to move off the ball and how we turn the ball over.
The thing you had praised heading into this game was your defensive consistency, particularly with center backs and Roman in this case as well today. What stood out to you amongst their performance today to not concede from open play?
Roman made a couple outstanding saves because they had a couple very dangerous crosses that He makes the save to his right. I think they had two with Russell Rowe and with Marrera where they were free headers. So we were fortunate in those moments. And then there was a couple where, excuse me, I think Matt does an outstanding job to block crosses. And that's where we've been pretty consistent of getting those plays right. So I think that's what allowed us to survive and get a point.
Kevin obviously gets the credit for the goal, but Evander's assist was pretty impressive as well. Do you think earlier in the season maybe he takes that himself, tries to head it, or?
I got to see it again,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I didn't review it back, so I can't give you too much on the
Do
goal.
you think that he's, though, maybe progressed in his comfort level with Denke to give him that ball instead of taking it himself? Is that?
I think so, yeah.
One more for Carter, we'll wrap up.
We mentioned a little bit, it is the end of a busy week, and you end up with 2 wins and 7 points at the end of the week. Is that something you're able to, even if it's not the performance you want tonight, take into the next stretch here as to build on and say we can still go forward?
We analyzed the game. I mean, it was a good week as far as points gained. But if we're looking at the week as a whole and say how did we perform, there's a lot more for us to work on, to improve. And so that'll continue to be the conversation. We know we've done a good job of getting points, but it's not just about surviving. It's finding more ways to have more control of games and play in a more composed way so that we can have more clarity in everything we're doing.